Welcome to Parenthood Bites, the podcast where we explore life as a parent in tech. I'm your host, Chow, and I have over 15 years of experience in tech, and I'm also currently working as a career coach. I'm the proud mother of 3 incredible boys. In each episode, we have an inspiring guest who will share their remarkable story. You'll find their wisdom and insights both relatable and enriching, because after all, we're all in this parenting journey together. So grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's dive into today's episode. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 53 of Parenthood Bites. We're here today with Ivan Stankovic, who's a technical program manager at one of the hyperscaler cloud providers. Hi Ivan, how are you today?
Hey, Charles, doing great. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. Since it's a Friday, do you have any plans this weekend?
I might go to golf range with my son to hit a couple of balls. He's pulling me into that sport lately. I have not tried that many times in the past, but that's one of the things we're going to be doing. Hoping it's going to be a nice weather here in Washington.
That's really neat. When has he started playing golf?
Recently, I guess that's the, I would say, a high school thing. You know, when they're juniors and seniors, they start picking up those more expensive sports.
Does his school have golf as a sport or separate?
Actually, they do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they even have a varsity team, which is something I was not even aware of. But it's a nice thing. I mean, I'm always supportive of, as long as you're outside, being out, enjoying the nature, and not by the computer, by by the screen. I'm supportive.
Wow, that's really neat. I didn't realize high schools had golf and a varsity golf team. That's really cool.
Yeah. I was surprised as well, and I learned a lot from him. He's my coach right now.
That's awesome. And that's awesome to have that experience and that bonding as well. So, how old are your kids? How many kids do you have?
I got 2 of them. My son is 16 and a half, and my daughter is 13 and a half. So 4-year difference between 2 of them.
Cool. My brother and I are also 4 years apart.
Cool.
So you have one in high school, one in middle school?
Yeah. Well, my older son, he is actually doing something that's called early start running start in Washington State. And I think in California, that's equivalent to fast track, which is where the high school students have the ability, if they qualify, to go in start college early. And they in parallel they go to community college, take college classes, but by the time they're senior year and their generation finishes high school, they basically finish associate degree and high school at the same time. So yes, while he's technically junior, he's done with all the credits that he needs for high school and now taking, I guess, early college. Let's put it that way.
So like a junior in high school, but also like a freshman, sophomore-ish in college, basically.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So then is he going to go to college after and kind of start in the middle of college or?
The idea and the goal is to go to university after he's done with this college for something STEM. He's not sold yet on which one. He just knows it's going to be STEM, doesn't know yet which one. And based on that, he's taking the classes in right now community college to support basically that degree.
Right, that's really neat. And then he can kind of take some exploratory classes, see what he likes, right? Then he has the time to figure that out.
I think he picked the associate in science, in general science, to, I guess, wrap up the community college and the associate degree. And then with that, he can transfer all, if not all, maybe most of the credits in the university and go for something mechanical, electrical, computer. Who knows what's going to happen? Civil engineering, but he's looking into some engineering. We shall see which one.
Wow, that's so cool. So what brought you to tech?
Oh, great question. And you're bringing me about 20 years ago.
A trip down memory lane,
Yeah. What brought me to tech? So I think it was 2000 when I had my first internet cafe. And the internet cafe was basically like a gaming LAN room, which is, so people would gather in college or whatever, with their laptops these days and, play some video games in LAN. I'm not even sure if that actually exists anymore because everything is online these days. But yeah, I used to have an internet cafe because the country that I grew up into was called Yugoslavia, that right now I don't think even exists. Separate republics, Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, all of that. So I had an internet cafe where people would come in, check in with the relatives overseas because the computers were extremely expensive back then, at least for our cost of living, and the internet was not readily available like it's in US, right? So it was really, really the luxury, honestly, for every family to have a computer. So internet cafe was like 12 computers and a server back Windows XP era or even 2000 XP, yeah. And that's how it started everything, me connecting, wiring all of that together, hacking stuff to make it work. And I think that's where the love for the tech came in. That's how it started, honestly.
That's awesome. Did you also like playing the games?
Yes, I did. Yes. While I try to run it as a business, I always, I try to support fellow customers, and
Yeah.
if we only had one customer at the time, I had to be a pair and, play with
Yeah.
them.
That's true. Otherwise, who would they play with, right? You had to.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So I had to learn, and we go way back into Age of Empire video games, back from very early 2000s.
Yeah. So, how many years were you working in tech when you became a parent?
Oh, well, when I became a parent, as I mentioned, I was back overseas. I moved in US 2006, and my first job was actually in tech because I came in with some knowledge and some industry certifications for networking, Microsoft as well. And I found a job here in tech to support the systems and networks in one of the dealerships or chain of dealerships in Washington state. And that was basically my first job when I came here. And, we had an older one at that time. So I'm not sure if we would consider since I was in US, but I guess it was pretty much from the early 2006, me being in tech in US. I guess a year later and a half, my son was born.
Wow. So, you were working at that dealership when your son
Yes,
was born.
correct.
Was there parental leave there?
Not that I remember. I think we had about 6 people team to support a couple of stores, very small IT team. The sales team was huge. It was a big operation, but dealerships are not well known to be IT sophisticated or tech sophisticated, especially back then in 2006, 7.
Yeah. So, then how did you juggle that with a newborn?
Oh, great question. Great question. My wife and I, we would basically hand off a baby to each other between the shifts. So I was working very early shift and my wife was working later shifts. So I would finish by 2:30, come home, take care of him, and then my wife starting at 3 o'clock, she would go to work. So that's basically that was the shift change. We would see each other at the doorstep, like hi, mwah, mwah, kisses, there you go, the package, cool, have fun, have fun. And the second shifts continue for each of us.
Yeah. Wow. That's wow.
Yeah, that was the beginning, that was the beginning.
Yeah. So, what about with your daughter? Did you also not have a leave?
No, I have not. I personally have not. But 4 years later, meanwhile, we bought a house, moved a little bit and into a quieter area. And then as my career was progressing, my wife stayed mostly home with the kids. We also had my mom, moved in from overseas to help us out with the kids as well. So it's just big teamwork around managing all of that. We're also fortunate enough to have in-laws close by, so those moments of insanity were definitely they helped us a big. So yeah, family around can do big things.
Yeah, yeah. Because you don't realize, right? Those little people, they have so much you have to do for them, especially with two.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and depending on the age they are, right now I genuinely don't even see them. They just text me. They don't even talk to me because I guess that's the new way of communication. Like my allowance money is not showing up. Can you please check what's happening? So those kind of conversations. But when they were younger, it used to be way more work around them. Son right now drives himself to college. So, he's self sufficient, he goes by himself. So it's really a different level of efforts depending on the age of the kids.
Yeah, the amount of work we need to do for them differs, going from more physical to other things.
Yeah, I like to say the little kids, little problems, big kids, bigger problems. When they grow up, even bigger problems because now, they might have their own kids, so you might have double problems. So it piles up.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It's like you get more sleep later on, but there's a lot of other things you need to do for them.
Yeah.
So when they were little, it was mainly the family taking care. Did you send them to preschool, daycare, after school care?
Yeah, they both went to preschool. They went to daycare. It was the daycare within the area that we lived in at that time, and then even changed a few daycares as well because, as you know, early in the career we couldn't afford better daycare, so it was let's just do something to see where we are, and then as we progressed and as we've settled and figure out how do we manage the family, right? In general, like and kids, it's not about whether they're priority or not. That's not not something we question, but it's more about, hey, we have this much pool of hours, this is our pool of income, how do we manage all of this and kids that we have to support, like how do we pie chart all of that, where does it go?
Yeah, and you move things around as you need to as things change.
Yeah. And like I said, the huge help is the family being around for those moments where you just need a break off. But, it's also flexible schedule and working hours with both of us, one doing the late shifts, one doing the early shifts at the time when we need it. Now, my wife also works from home and she also runs her business. So it's a little bit different. She's been with kids most of their grown up childhood, technically taking care of them as well. And like I mentioned, my mom also moved in, helped, and my in-laws are close by. So I think we're fortunate.
Yeah, and the kids are very fortunate too to be able to grow up with grandparents nearby.
Yeah. I very much appreciate my daughter spends a lot of time with my mom. She learned how to knit. So she actually does knitting and she even reads Cyrillic. So they're both multilingual and speak our language as well, Serbo-Croatian. So it's cool.
What are some tips you have for some parents who want to make sure their kids speak different languages?
It's a great question. I can tell you what we did. I can probably even tell you where we failed, in my opinion, or could have done better. When we were home and the kids were young, until they went to or ended up going to the daycare or to preschool, we've been only talking home our language, native language, right? And outside of the home, obviously English. When the kids started going to preschool, they had trouble expressing their needs. I'm hungry, I need to go, to the toilet or whatever like that, because they just spoke our language, right? And this is where my level of, I guess, my restrictions for the language were reduced. Like, okay, you definitely need to get out and speak other language, English, so that you can fit into the rest, right? And then by nature, the moment they get exposed to the other kid, and especially when they start school, I mean, I think it took 3 years for them to forget our language.
They pick it up so quickly.
Yeah, they started speaking English, and now they don't even speak our language back home, right? I'm the only one when they get me angry and I need to talk really fast, then I do it in my native language. And they're like, okay, Dad, cool, chill, chill.
Something about when kids tell you to chill, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It depends on the age, but if I could give one example, I mean, some consistency and some balance is always good. I don't think going one extreme or the other extreme is the right way. I think we did extreme, which is, going back to where we could have done better. I think we did our extreme in the beginning until they went to preschool, and then we completely went extreme the other way. It's like, oh, shoot,
We did that too.
we steered the wrong way, let's go the other way, right? And then all the passengers are just moving like potatoes in the car, like, okay, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, because we were worried. Because our oldest, when he go to school, same thing.
Yeah,
He didn't know how to ask questions. He didn't know. So we were like, we can't have the second or third one do that. And then I think
yeah.
the third one, we swung a little too far on the other side.
Yeah, I think they're way more resilient than what we give them credit for. They pick up so well, so fast, and it's breeze for them. I mean, for us, maybe it's just a fear, but for them, it's just normal. Honestly,
They pick things up so quickly.
they're sponge. They're like a sponge. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, how has your work life changed since you became a parent?
Well, again, depending on the era and the age of the kids, right? It's different, definitely different. And it's dictated, honestly, by the kids and their interest to spend times with us as parents. Because older they are, they get into teens, they have their own friends, they simply don't want to even talk to us. So my work life is kind of going around their interests to spend time with us. The younger they were, we went on more vacations together because they just didn't have a choice.
Right. They just get in the car and
Right.
go.
Yeah, now it's more about, hey, but I have plans for this weekend, right? I have a sleepover that I planned for 3 weeks for. But it's your spring break, and it is your, only time where you have a couple of days off, and I can take off as well, and mom, and we can go on vacation. Yeah, but I had a plan. So because of that, I guess we adapt or partner up, I would say better with them on making sure something works for all of us. But in general, the work life changes as the age of the kids because, like I said, at some age they need more help, at some age they need less help or want. Not need, it's even want. And we go around them and support them, still be connected, basically.
Right, right. And like you said, now your son can drive himself to school. When they were little, it was like you had to go pick him up, take him places, right? And now that part you don't need to take care of, but others.
Yeah, exactly. I have a picture and it's going around. He was 2 years old. We ended up going camping and he was pointing his finger in my dress shoes. I was in shorts and dress shoes camping. And he was asking me, Dad, why do you have those fancy shoes? We're in the woods. And the reason why is because my wife picked me up
Oh,
directly from work so we can go camping and set up tents and set up the camping ground Friday afternoon after work so that we can get the most of the weekend out together, right? And I was literally being, dressed up and I forgot to bring my, I guess, camping shoes, sneakers, whatever, right? And I was in a fancy dress shoes and the rest of the camping gear with me. And there is a picture of me unpacking our car at the campsite and him pointing, finger in my shoes, and it's like, why? Why?
that's like a perfect depiction, right? Of your life at that time. Like
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah,
anytime there's a
exactly,
question, it's
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
well, that picture that tells it all. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and that picture surfaces every couple of years. Like it's just crazy, like
Yeah.
dad in a dress shoes trying to set up the tent, and and the kid is like, why? And I don't recall if our daughter was born at that time, but we had some of the days where literally like that. My wife would pick me up from work. I would pack the car with all the gear we need. Friday afternoon, she would pick me up from work, literally, and we would go camping, out just so that we can get the most out of the weekend. So speaking about, balancing the, life and work and all of that, like how do you get the most of it? Cool. 501, pick me up.
Yeah.
Let's go. Friday.
And that also goes to show how like times change, right? Back then you needed to dress up, go to work. Now it's like you work from home. And so seeing that picture tells so much.
Yes, yes. I mean, the world has evolved a lot, and things have changed a lot since I'm talking about. This is probably back in 2010, right? So in the last 15 years, a lot has changed, and it also shows how we as a humans, can adapt, and how much we are resilient on all of that stuff.
Yeah. So what has been your biggest struggle or challenge being a parent in tech?
There is no one thing I would say. Actually, lately there is, I guess, the consistent thing, and that is actually the tech, believe it or not. So I'll try to elaborate my personal concern. It is, I find myself to be skilled enough or experienced enough to buffer and manage my screen exposure time and screen time in general. With, I think, the younger generations or kids, they need a little bit help on that, and the tech is actually the biggest concern. My biggest concern with tech is tech. And ironically, and we have that balance between when do you need a phone, how much time you're going to spend. You're going to laugh, but even my older 16 has limitations on the phone still, like screen time. I'm not control freak, but I'm more like, hey, I can see the side effects, the social side effects. Like, the tech it's a fantastic tool that can help you, but it's also not as healthy if not used properly. So that's kind of the fear. And kids, my kids, I don't think they see both sides. I think they just see one side. And unfortunately, that's not the side where they use it as a helpful tool. They use it as a gateway from something. There is a screen between them and real life, going back to let's go spend time in camping. Let's go in the real world, right? Let's go in the real world. And it's not about the real world, in my personal opinion. It's about you solving your own problems, no matter what those problems are. Maybe those are, how are you going to hike in a dress shoes that I mentioned earlier, right? Like maybe that's as simple as that, right? Maybe it's how do we set up a tent, but we forgot a strap or a pole or a something. But with being behind that screen, I think the ability to solve these problems degrades. And because they're used to clicking the button to solve the problem, and not all problems are solved by the button. And this is where I see that, one thing that my biggest concern is of, being a tech is actually a tech, and how do we as parents, let them know that it's good, it's helpful, it's a tool, but at the same time, it can cause them some long-term damage.
Yeah. So, what are some things you do to set those limitations for your kids?
So we have a couple of layers, actually. My background is system network engineering that I mentioned earlier, right? So I have a half rack of the, computer servers in a garage for the Wi-Fi and all of that. So each device, I may be overly complicating, but there is a way you can do a screen time per device, which is, through the Comcast. There is also a screen level you can do through the phone. There is also a screen level per app. So those kind of things is what I'm trying, like on a different level. Typically I get, it's 8:01 and they're like, Dad, 5 more minutes. I was in the middle of the game. Like, sorry, start game earlier. I don't know what to say. Manage your time better. Like, oh, Dad, you sucks. Like, okay, go to bed. So we have some rules in the house, and the rules are chores. Running the house is no one's but everyone's responsibility, and everyone has something. If you touch your phone or you play video games, but the chores are not done, you're losing that privilege. Period. So, trying to teach them priorities. That's kind of what we do as one thing. And then also, we have a rule there is no video games during the school time. Off school? Yeah, cool. And when I say during the school time, I mean literally during the calendar school year. There is no video games. I just take entire desktop and put it in a garage.
Oh, so the entire school year, no games.
Entire school, correct. Like you can
On their phone as well, you can't.
it's blocked, it's blocked, or it's a screened limit, obviously. I mean, they're trying all kinds of way to go around, all kinds of restrictions, right? But it's that ongoing battle, which is like, hey, if you lose trust, you lose phone. So let's manage, like, well, what is enough? Is it 2 hours enough for you to be on the phone today? I think that's enough. 2 hours, of your phone time. How you use it, whether that's going to be on YouTube all 2 hours or mixed. I'm just throwing hypothetically numbers out, and applications doesn't matter. But that's one of the ways that we try to manage the exposure of screen time. But multiple layers as well. Like if you're home, cool, you can watch TV, but it counts towards the screen time. And if you watch TV, it's going to be a specific channels. You can watch whatever you want to watch. It's not going to be a YouTube on TV for sure. Net Geo and some, educational channels where, nature and Animal Planet and stuff like that. Like that's always allowed. Like it's an educational, so History Channel. There are some really good shows that I have no objections at all. Or sports, like any sports you pick up, watch whatever sport you like. I'm fine with it. And also, hey, if you went outside and play for 4 hours during your spring break or a summer break, and you came in tired and all of that, cool. I mean, you earned it. I'll make a balance, but again, it's about that balance, and you really just. It might be also me going a little bit towards the extreme shut down because of the cultural things where I grew up and how I grew up, and maybe generational as well. We used to go ride bikes and play soccer out all day, right? And then 7:30 there was one cartoon, awesome, and it's a bad time, right? This is completely different age. They do homework, they go to school, they do everything on the electronics and on the devices. So it's that balance we need to just find a good toggle for the mixture of things.
Yeah, I was telling my kids, if you missed a show at a certain time, that's it. You couldn't watch it. It's
Yep.
not on demand. They were like, "What? How do you live?" I'm like, that's just how life was, right? You couldn't just get a device and see whatever you wanted at any time.
Yep.
It was that show. And if it was commercial, you watch that commercial. That's how it was.
Exactly, 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 exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't finish your homework, you missed a show. Too bad. Wait until next week.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. So, on the flip side, I was curious, what do you see as the biggest benefit or the positive thing of being a parent?
In general, being in engineering, and I work with a lot of different engineers from civil, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and computer software engineers, right? Just being in this field, understanding how cool technical problems and challenges they work with is something that I can share with my kids. The perspective, basically, the bringing that engineering perspective back from the world into the house to share with them what's happening in the world, to give them enough motivation, influence, or just information for them to decide which route they would want to pick in their life and to go to, is probably something that I appreciate the most out of being in tech or being in engineering world, right? So just that amount of information and cool stuff that's happening, that people are working to solve some problems, right? And bringing that back home, telling them, hey, this is what the industry or this is what folks are doing. We're sending rockets to the moons, we're sending satellites into the orbits, so that we can solve some good problems as well, right? And hopefully influencing them to go towards solving problems like that in the future for their generations or generations to come. So that would be one of the things, yeah.
And as they get older, you probably see the conversation with them evolves. It's not just when they're young, they're kind of like, okay, but they maybe understand 50% of it. And once they get older, they can have their ideas and opinions they share with you too.
Yeah, it changes. I mean, their interest level and the complexity of conversation changes as they grow. And whether they do like it or not, it's their call. I'm going to support them to pursue whatever they feel like they want to pursue. I'm not going to force them into tech. I don't think they even have too much desire right now to go there, but they're, young. I don't think they know what they want to do as of this, age. So yeah, but that would be one of the things I would pick as a, like, hey, it's a perspective. Let me share you what this industry is doing and solving, and you let me know what you think about it.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. So, what do you struggle with at their current ages of 16 and a half and 13 and a half?
Ooh, super different ages. Middle school, I'll go with the younger first. The middle school is something that is really challenging. And specifically for girls, it's a different set of solving problems. It's, many clans doing many things at this age. And when my son was at that age, we've been through COVID. So he did, luckily, I would say, through online, schooling at that time, which was mandatory, right? And he did not have that exposure with the mid school and what's happening, because I think it's a little bit different going from elementary school. You're going to the mid school, and this is where everybody's trying to be alpha because they're going to carry that alpha into the high school. And really different between the kids and between the, I guess, the age. And again, I'm bringing in COVID era because that's where one of the kids went through within the, through the online. So we didn't experience that, but we see that with a little one. So it's a different, I would say, it's a different problem with a different kid at a different age and the surrounding.
Yeah, I notice when they go to middle school, it's a huge shift for me too, to see like the things they're exposed to, the things they hear their classmates talk about. I'm like, oh my gosh, my kids have not been exposed to that. And so trying to help them understand, like kind of figuring out the differences and seeing, okay, we didn't expose you to those things for a reason. You see it, but don't repeat those things, having those conversations too.
My wife is fantastic with talking on their level. She's really great when it comes to putting herself into their shoes at that age, right? I have a little higher bars, like, why are you not performing like you're 10 years older, right? But that's just because, like, if it's me personally stretching myself as well, why can't I do better? Like, why not? I mean, the simple question, why not? And I do that to them as well. Like, why can't you do better? Like, why can't you think better? Like, you're asking me to treat you as an adult, but you're doing things that are not, potentially like adult. Like, why? Why? Like, it goes both ways. My wife is more, more calm. So I would call myself bad cop and she would be a good cop. So she's more calm, and she's like, she has, I would say, more patience than I do, and she's the one that helps them way more than I do navigate through these problems in a certain ages where I help them with different kind of problems. So I guess as as both parents, we all have strengths and weaknesses in some of the things. And when it comes to helping them navigate through the school problems, my wife is really an expert in that area. I am far behind.
That's pretty great to have that balance
Yeah.
and have one person take care of these things and the person help with those other things. I think that's a nice partnership you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
there.
Hey, like I said in the beginning, it's really about the teamwork at the end. Like, filling up each other's gaps.
For sure. So, what do you do for work life balance? What is your approach?
Oh, a couple of things. I like to shut myself completely off by going for a motorcycle rides. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter. We have a small place, like a cabin up in the woods, a couple of hours away from Seattle, and I shut off literally myself by doing either the woodworking or splitting the woods or literally building construction building, something just so that it does not have a computer. Like it does not have a computer and it does not have people across from me solving technical problems. Like I want to have a screwdriver, nail, chainsaw, or something and do completely something different. So that's kind of my mental relief type of area. When I can afford, I go with friends on a motorcycle ride, sometimes day two, three, sometimes seven. This summer, we ended up going for a big loop with a few friends all the way to Montana, glaciers and back. So that was my detox from work as well. Then, we have family plans for vacations as well, which is what typically when we go on vacations, I also try to shut off myself. So those are kind of the things that I do for work-life balance besides normal weekend, on a weekends. That's a easy gateways, I guess, to the woods. If the weather is nice, sometimes motorcycle rides. So that's kind of my recipe, but it's based on the hobbies.
Yeah, yeah. Do your kids ask to go on motorcycle rides with you?
They do. Younger one especially, but I don't do it. Even my wife, she loves being on a motorcycle, but I don't. And it's really just risk management. That's all. That's all it is like. We do, my wife and I, once a year, like a weekend ride.
She must love that.
Yeah, yeah. And then she's like, I need this more. And I was like, I know, but it's, all the eggs in one basket. I guess it's a professional deformation, honestly. I'm always looking like the risk management, like,
How do you reduce?
yeah, it's like we're gonna do this. Okay, what are the pros and cons of that? Like, let me think about it. Like, what is the risk? What is the impact? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Let's manage this. And it's like, yeah.
Right, right. That's smart. So the last question I like to ask is just what's something you would tell someone who's planning to have kids or something you wish you knew before you had kids?
It's never too early, honestly. Don't wait until some professional goals are set because there is absolutely, in my opinion, there is absolutely no, oh, this is the perfect time. Right? There is always going to be some problem. And in my opinion, the earlier you start, earlier you adopt and the earlier you learn. So I think more experience you have with more energy that you have would be better. I way more appreciate the fact that we had kids and we've gone through campings and all of that when I'm full with energy. And you can find that energy. Like I said, like it can be 5:05 Friday PM. You can spend time and go do stuff, right? And those, some of those memories are going to stay and they'll be engraved and be talked for many, many years, right? And that's in my personal view and the way I look at kids and parents, us in a family. My job, besides helping them to go on the right path, whatever that path is, right, is to engrave as many memories as I can because that's going to stay. We for sure won't, no matter monetary thing, whatever we build, that's not going to stay. That's all replaceable and it can be spent with few dumb moves. So, embedding as many memories as you can is probably the best thing to do. And to do so, start early because you can never embed enough memories.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. I mean, I look at the amount of energy I have now when they were little. Like if I had kids now, I don't think I would have that much energy to
Yeah.
be able to follow them around if they were, really young right now.
I have a neighbor who said, I would love to ski with my grandkids. And I admire that idea. Like, that's fantastic. Like, I'd love to do that too.
Right. Well, I hope you will. I
Yeah,
think you
yeah,
will.
yeah,
But yeah, thank you so much for chatting with me today. And it was really, really awesome to hear about your
absolutely.
experiences and tips. So thank
Yeah.
you. Of
Thank you for inviting me.
course. I hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend ahead.
Yes, my work day just begins right now with meetings. So I'll
Yeah, good luck with your meetings and thank you for, fitting me in.
absolutely. Thank you for inviting me and good luck with all the future and current parents.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye, ciao.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Parenthood Bites. We hope you found our episode informative and entertaining. If you're a parent in the tech world or know someone who is, we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out to us at chow@parenthoodbites.co, and we'll be thrilled to add your experiences to our interviews. That's chow, CHIAO, at parenthoodbites.co. And to our potential sponsors out there, if you're a business or know of one that would like to support and partner with our podcast, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can also reach us at chow@parenthoodbites.co. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we wish you a fantastic rest of your week. Until next time, take care and stay curious.